Let's talk about Darkhawk. He's one of those characters barely anyone remembers these days, but back in the 90s he was actually kind of a big deal. He first showed up in the Darkhawk #1 in March 1991, created by Tom DeFalco and Mike Manley. He had his own comic run from 91 to 95, then popped up here and there in miniseries and big Marvel events over the years. His origin's pretty wild. Basically, he's linked to an android from another dimension called Null Space. He's shown up in some TV shows and video games, but usually just in the background roles with no lines. Now though, Marvel has a real shot to bring him back properly, maybe with a Disney Plus series like they're doing for Wonder Man. If you're not familiar with him, let me introduce you to Christopher Powell, aka Darkhawk. He grew up in Queens, New York, and his story kicks off when he sees his dad, a cop, taking a bribe from a crime boss at an old amusement park. While there, Chris stumbles across a strange amulet that lets him swap places with a powerful android that he mentally controls. From that moment on, he decides to use it as his way of fighting crime. He quickly jumps into the superhero world, teaming up with big names and going up against some serious villains. His first big fight? The Hobgoblin, with Spider-Man by his side. He also faced off against Savage Steel, Portal, and the UFOs alongside Captain America. Lodestone tried to yank his amulet, and he went up against Savage Steel again, this time with the Punisher. He even took on Midnight, Thunderball, and the Secret Empire alongside a whole squad: Spider-Man, Punisher, Night Thrasher, Nova, and Moon Knight. Darkhawk also crossed paths with the Foreigners 1400 Club and went head-to-head with Tombstone, who actually managed to rip the amulet from his chest. He occasionally worked with the New Warriors and was a provisional member of the West Coast Avengers. Oh, and he didn't shy away from taking on the Brotherhood of Mutants either. So here's where things get even weirder for Darkhawk. Chris finds out that the android body he switches into is actually stored on a starship in another dimension called Null Space. Every time he uses the amulet, his human body swaps places with the android. Turns out, 5 Darkhawk amulets were originally made by this alien crime boss, Dargan Bok, but the scientists behind the tech turned on him. Bok wiped most of them out, but 2 of the scientists managed to beam their minds to Earth and merge with 2 Earth scientists. Together, they built a 6th amulet, the one Chris eventually finds. But later, in the War of Kings Ascension storyline, it's hinted that a lot of this backstory might be unreliable. Even Bok's existence is questioned. Eventually, Chris and the Darkhawk body are split into 2 separate beings, both with Chris's memories. Then the android accidentally absorbs new data and evolves, allowing Chris to transform into Darkhawk without teleporting to Null Space anymore. Later, Chris joins a group of former teen heroes called the Loners, formerly Excelsior. It includes folks like Phil Urich, Turbo, Lightspeed, and Ricochet. They're basically trying to figure out life post-superhero and are hired by Rick Jones secretly to track down the runaways in LA. During this time, Chris has serious anger issues when he's in his Darkhawk form, even gets into it with Turbo. He eventually admits he had a nervous breakdown and swears off being Darkhawk. But of course, that doesn't stick. The team ends up fighting Ultron, and Chris, as Darkhawk, blasts him into pieces with a Dark Force attack. Afterward, the group tries going full superhero mode, but eventually shifts into more of a support group vibe. Chris is still struggling with his temper, but when Maddie Franklin joins the crew, he agrees to help her take down some mutant growth hormone dealers. He mostly tries to play peacemaker between her and Ricochet, but his anger issues are always kinda bubbling under the surface. During War of Kings Ascension, Darkhawk's story takes a major cosmic turn. It kicks off when a second Darkhawk armor shows up near Chris Powell's home. The mysterious figure inside forces Chris to transform, and a sudden explosion nearly kills his family. His mom ends up critically injured. The intruder reveals himself as Talon, another wielder of a Darkhawk amulet and a member of the Fraternity of Raptors, an ancient order that manipulates events behind the scenes to guide the fate of the universe. Talon claims that he and Chris are the last 2 Raptors, and that Chris's emotional issues stem from the amulet not being meant for humans. Talon offers to help Chris master the armor, and they both head to the Negative Zone. In the Ascension miniseries, the 2 fight Chitonauts, bug-like soldiers of Catastrophus, a servant of Annihilus. Talon's violent methods disturb Chris, and the more time they spend together, the more Chris realizes the Raptors aren't as noble as they seem. Talon brags that the Raptors are the true cosmic power players, far beyond the Nova Corps. Eventually, Talon manipulates Chris into becoming more ruthless, and Chris taps into something called the Data Song of the Null Source, a kind of cosmic memory stream. He sees the fraternity's real history, kidnappings, assassinations, and manipulation. Realizing they're villains, Chris tries to resist, but Talon purges Chris's consciousness from the armor. The armor then forms a new, more brutal identity, Razor. Talon and Razor steal the cosmic control rod from Catastrophus and strike a deal with Blastar to shape the outcome of the War of Kings. Meanwhile, Chris's psyche survives in a strange space, a massive tree covered in amulets where he meets gargoyle-like entities and a Skrull who, like Chris, is linked to a Raptor armor. The Skrull explains that humanity's unpredictability makes them a wild card in the Raptor's control system. This insight helps Chris regain control of the armor, though not in time to stop Razor from killing several Shi'ar, including Lilandra. Chris confronts Talon again, and while he briefly frees the Skrull from Talon's grip, the Skrull ends up taking his own life to stop Talon for good. His final plea to Chris: destroy the rest of the Raptor amulets before the Fraternity of Raptors can rise again. After that, Realm of Kings takes Darkhawk even deeper into that mysterious mythos. Now a fugitive hunted by the Shi'ar Imperium, Chris Powell is wanted across the galaxy for murders committed while Razor controlled the armor. His buddy Nova, Richard Ryder, doesn't buy it and tracks him to the planet Shard, which is crumbling into the Fault, a chaotic rift in space opened during War of Kings. Things get wild when a monstrous biomass attacks, and a new raptor, Gyre, awakens and battles them. The Fault swallows the planet, but Nova and Darkhawk are saved by none other than the Sphinx, an ancient powerful foe of Nova. The twist? They join past versions of heroes like Reed Richards, Black Bolt, and Namorita to fight the Sphinx's younger self. Well, that's it for today. If Marvel brought Darkhawk into the MCU, who would you cast to play him? And would you prefer a Disney Plus series or a full-blown movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming breakdowns and updates. We'll see you in the next one.